Brace yourself. Welcome all pig men, disgustos, and women with facial hair. My name is Ricky Allpike, and joining me on this cultural journey is Jonathan Astro.
You can't look. How are you, Ricky?
I'm good. And how are you, AJ?
Lost it already.
So now we got to pretend like he didn't. Just as soon as before, he's like, oh, get ready for this. You know, he's winding everyone up for the beginning.
Well, I am pleased. Even with the wind up, I was not disappointed. Well done, Ricky.
No, it was good. It was good. Thank you.
Well, you know, it is. We are doing Carry On films today, so
We are. So that's who's showing up for it.
Big men.
And discuss those. Well, this is SIDEBOOB Cinema. Tonight it's Carry On Camping. A slight change in programming because this happened very late because I have watched both films, Carry On Camping and Carry On Up the Khyber, which we talked about we're going to do this week. But after having watched Carry On Up the Khyber, I realised that it was quite a brilliant film that needed its own week, and so does Carry On Camping as well. Actually, I was felt the same about both, but particularly Carry On Up Khyber was quite dense. So we're going to put that off. We've prepared it almost fully, but we're gonna really get into that when we come back after the break.
We are taking a short break over the Christmas period, although we do have some special podcasts up our sleeve that will be released over the Christmas break. We've got the Best of Auntie Sheila Part 1 and 2, and we also have a Mano a Mano coming out as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, over the December-January break.
Yes, well, tonight it's Carry On Camping, our first foray. Does anyone have any relationship to the Carry On films in general or this particular film?
AJ?
Yes, I used to watch them when I was little with my stepmom.
Okay.
I can't remember. They all kind of roll into one. So.
Okay.
And I used to love when I used to see the rank organisation as the title page.
It always felt good.
It did.
Yeah, this is my first Carry On film, actually, and it's exactly what I thought it would be. Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it.
I came on to this franchise at its demise, in fact. So my first encounter really was Carry On Columbus, which was their sort of final film in the early 90s, because that was my heyday at the video store. And I think it had Julian Clary and a whole bunch of 90s sort of people in it. But I actually watched that film. I loved it, and obviously I've heard about the films over the years, but there was an image of Barbara Windsor from this particular movie, holding her bosom, black and white image that I have seen throughout my whole life, and it's loomed large, this image, and this is the film it comes from. So we'll get into that.
Babs.
Babs. Yes, Babs.
It's funny how they've all got, and it must just be, is it just this particular film that everyone's character name, like their first name's the same as their actual name?
No, they seem to do that quite a bit, don't they?
That happens a bit.
Okay.
Like, fuck it.
Particularly with Sid James.
Yeah, definitely.
And they've talked about him being, very close, allegedly very close to his personality. So,
Big man.
So he's not really acting.
That's what they've said. They've said that he's not. I don't know.
Well, they just found him in a bar somewhere and went, do that.
Yeah, I guess so. But there's a lot of characters who seem to just have their name as their name. Well, particularly when they're bigger than the film. Like, because it seems like Barbara Windsor is so larger than life that she might as well be Babs. She's just that. And same with Sid James.
Yeah, but they do make the names amazing with the surnames though. Sid Boggle, Joan Fussy,
Charlie Muggins,
Dr. Kenneth Soper.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. That is funny in a way that you can't even talk about. Dr. Kenneth Soper. So good.
If you are thinking of a holiday under canvas this year, wait.
Wouldn't surprise me if we didn't have a drop of rain. You had to open your big mouth.
We might be able to help you decide to carry on camping.
I knew I shouldn't have eaten those radishes.
Good morning, Dr. Soper. Are we all did.
Not half. A camping holiday is a whole lot of fun. It ensures good, healthy exercise.
And up.
Gives you a new lease of life.
Well, if this is paradise, give me hell.
And helps you to make new friends.
I wonder if he's offended about something.
The hilarious comedy crew are here again as they carry on camping. And causing chaos and confusion wherever they go. Sidney James as Sid Boggle. Joan Sims as Joan Fussy.
I suppose you'd rather we sat here all stark naked.
Wouldn't bother me.
It would if your ice lolly fell in your lap.
Kenneth Williams as Dr. Soper. Hattie Jakes as Miss Haggard.
Don't rush me. I think you'll find it's worth waiting for.
What was that?
Only a cow.
Are you absolutely sure that's a cow?
I should know. I used to milk them when I was little.
Well, I wouldn't try milking that one. It's only got one tap.
Betty Marston as Harriet Potter. Terry Scott as Peter Potter.
Hello.
Hello.
What's a nice girl like you doing with an old cow?
I'm taking her to the bull.
To the oh. Couldn't your father do that?
No, it has to be the bull.
Has to be the...
Charles Hawtrey as Charlie Muggins.
And
Barbara Winston as Babs.
And Ling.
Peter Butterworth as Joshua Fiddler. Bernard Breslau as Bernie Lugg.
Get out. Sorry. Evening.
Dillis Lay as Anthea Meeks. We're sure that after this brief preview of a holiday of a lifetime, you'll be off like a shot to see Carry On Camping.
So, well, we'll get into the synopsis, I think. What happened? What happened in this movie?
Disgusto Sid Boggle and his friend Bernie Lugg, played by Sid James and Bernard Breslau, are partners in a plumbing business. The film opens with the pair and their girlfriends, the prudish Joan Fussy, played by Joan Sims, and the meek Anthea Meeks, played by Dillis Lay. They're at the cinema watching a documentary about a nudist camp called Paradise. Sid has the idea of holidaying there as a group and hopes the camp will help the girls, loosen up a little bit. Because let's face it, the girls are frigid. Sid easily gains Bernie's cooperation in the scheme, which they attempt to keep secret from the girls. So they travel to the campsite, and after paying the membership fees to the owner, the money-grubbing farmer Josh Fiddler, Sid realizes it's not the camp seen in the film, but merely a standard family campsite. To add to their disappointment, it is no paradise, but instead a damp field, the only facilities being a very basic toilet and a washing block. They reluctantly agree to stay after Fiddler refuses to give them a refund, and the girls approve of the place. There is further disappointment when the two frigid heirs won't share a tent with the boys. Sid and Bernie soon set their sights on a bunch of young sex-starved foxes on a school camp. Sid and Bernie soon set their sights on a bunch of young sex-starved foxes on a school camp from the chaste place finishing school. The ringleader of the girls is a blonde, busty and bouncy Babs, who's up for a good time, it seems, with any man, regardless of age or dental hygiene. In charge of the girls is the closeted Dr. Soper, who is aggressively pursued by his lovelorn colleague, the school's matron, Miss Haggard. In one outstanding scene, Dr. Soper leads an outdoor aerobics session during which Bab's bikini top flies off and he catches it. There are other characters at the campsite too. There's Peter Potter, who loathes camping and is often injured, quite often in the butt. Peter endures his jolly yet domineering and sexually uninterested wife, Harriet, who has a distinctively irritating laugh.
I'm so glad you said that.
Then we have the naive first-time camper and ultra-moocher Charlie Muggins, who often cock-blocks Peter by getting in between him and his wife. Chaos ensues when a group of hippies arrive in the field next to the campsite for a noisy all-night rave led by a band called the Flower Buds. The campers club together and successfully drive the ravers away, but all the schoolgirls leave with them. Not all is lost for Bernie and Sid, however, as their girlfriends finally agree to move into their tent for what will definitely not be the fuck of a century. Their joy is short-lived when Joan's mother turns up, but Anthea lets loose a goat that chases Mrs. Fussy away, hopefully giving them enough time to get down and dirty tent style. Meanwhile, Peter vows to Harriet that this camping holiday will most definitely be their last. So ends Carry On Camping.
Wonderful.
So this film is pretty light on plot. It's basically just, little vignettes of these different character groups and how they come together at the campsite. So the reviews I'll talk about much later, but yeah, it's been criticized for being fairly light on plot. But does it matter?
Well, no, it doesn't, because comedy has only one function, and that is to make you laugh. And sometimes you can have a tightly scripted comedy, and that's perfectly fine. And you have those comedies that work without the gags. You can have something like Fletch, which if you took the gags out, it would still be a detective story. You can do that, or you can do Anchorman, where you have a very loose plot, and then sort of fill it with character and charm and lines and vignettes and whatever. So and particularly when you veer into the bit of the more surreal, it's fine as well. So I mean, the Marx Brothers, for goodness sakes. I mean, Duck Soup is acknowledged as being one of the greatest comedies of all time, and that is a fairly loose, simple plot. So I don't know. I find those charges to be, that's generally something I would expect from a Guardian reviewer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they would go, oh, well, that was a bit light on plot, and you go, sorry, did you realize the point of this movie? Or for goodness sakes. Can I say, this is a cancelable thought that I've had while watching the movie. So there's a scene when one of the teachers falls down coming out of a room and accidentally slips off, Babs's nightie, and she goes, oh, and covers her front. I would just say that a nightie popping open of its own accord and sort of bosoms appearing from nowhere, I wish this would happen every day of my life. And if someone came to me like a genie or something and said, I'll give that to you, but every time it happens, you lose one day of your life, I tell you what, I'd spend big.
You want to see them titties all day, every day.
Well, at least once a day.
Babs, if you will.
Yes, so good. Anyway, that's me cancelled. Hang on.
Suddenly, Sally's shyness and natural timidity vanished, and forgetting all about her strict convent training, she stepped out from her tent as naked and free as nature intended.
That's quite enough of that, thank you.
What's the matter with you?
You told us this film was all about camping.
Well, it is. Those are tents, aren't they?
Not what you're looking at.
If you're going on a camping holiday, it only makes sense you should find out what it's all about.
Well, a fact what you're going to learn from this.
As a matter of fact, I'm making a mental note of all the equipment they got.
Yes, especially hers.
Shh.
Well, I think the film opens with a bang, doesn't it? It's showing this documentary on a nudist camping site somewhere, and you've got Sid and his good mate sitting there with their dates, who are obviously mortified that they're watching this film.
Well, there's a couple of things, because I think they've sidestepped the censors, because at the time there was a bit of a grey area with educational films.
Ah, right.
So that's why we see full titties.
Yeah.
I love it how they're just old as fuck, though. All of them.
Well,
and they still won't put out, even though they're really old.
But they're playing younger characters, though, yeah.
But they still look old.
Ricky's so generous. He's so generous. He's like, oh, but they're playing young. That works on the theatre. You've got a sort of a stage age. Yeah. But this is a film. We're right next to these people.
No, but that's the whole thing about the Carry On franchise, is that they use the same. It's like an ensemble cast. It is like a theatre show or like a review or something. It's like you know, they kept coming back to the same cast of actors, you know.
Yeah, but think about this. Okay, think about this. Sid James in this movie is younger than Tom Cruise is today.
What?
He's
No.
55 and Tom Cruise is 59.
That guy is not 55.
You
surely.
need to wake up and smell the coffee. He's 55.
He's had a rough life.
That's the real
That
fucking
bloke has
dope.
had a rough life.
He has, look, because he died like 7 years later or something. So,
God.
and he was like 62 or something. So did some quick maths. And yeah, so Tom Cruise 59.
That's
Sid James,
crazy.
55.
Jesus Christ.
That's wild.
I thought he was at least in his 60s.
Well, it's his age in this movie is so inappropriate and disgusting that it's a masterpiece.
Yes.
Like, it's such an affront to everything in society. Like, even like, because, you know, it wasn't that long ago where you'd have entrapment like Sean Connery, a million years old, and Catherine Zeta-Jones, or in The Line of Fire, like Clint Eastwood, like fucking 65 or whatever, and Rene Russo's in it. Like, what, that wasn't that long ago. But this is beyond a joke. He is retired looking. You know what I mean? Like, he's just, and the mum doesn't mention it at all. So
the mum looks younger than him.
The mum looks younger than him, man. It's ridiculous. It's
well,
ridiculous.
the mum probably, the actress who played the mum probably is younger.
Yeah,
because she's only a couple of years older than who's the person that plays
Joan?
the daughter? Joan, yeah.
I know. So I just think the age is just it's so striking. Like, you know, because we've covered this sort of stuff. This was in Hard Bodies.
Mm.
Like, in Hard Bodies, there was a plot line involving gross old men, and it tipped us over into a different deal. You know,
all the blokes in this film are either pervert creeps or closeted gays, really.
Oh, La Femmes. In every movie, there are always La Femmes.
There's only two types of dudes, I guess.
But what's the deal? What's the deal with, are these men gay? Are they gay or what? I don't get it.
But I love it. Muggins was by far my favorite character.
Charlie Muggins.
He's so scrawny.
Oh, his legs. What's up with his legs? Looks like he's never walked. Like they've atrophied to nothing.
He's sort of like born for shorts.
Yeah.
You know? Like, just put him in shorts and have the little stalks sticking out at the bottom.
Oh, excellent. Well done, Mason.
Well, it seems a little bit rickety, Doctor.
Is it? Yes, well, of course, it's fairly easy to get it up. It's getting it to stay up. That's what counts. Oh, and of course, you haven't pegged it down properly.
Oh, of course. You must forgive me, Doctor. I've never done it before.
Yeah, so you told me earlier.
Excuse me. Oh, Doctor, I suppose you haven't room for me.
Room for you?
Yes, well, you see, I happen to have lost my tent.
My dear man, these tents are all for young girls.
Oh, well, I'm not fussy.
Well, I am.
Oh. Well, what about the little one at the far end?
That, sir, is my habitat.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. Do you know, I thought that you and she...
Certainly not.
Oh, well, in that case, I don't mind sharing with her.
Well, you're certainly not fussy.
Now, I love Charlie Muggins, but my favourite is actually Kenneth Soper, Dr. Soper.
Oh, yes. Delightful.
Well, he's one of the heartbeats of the series, Kenneth Williams.
He's proper.
He is proper.
He's just so funny. Like the nasal voice, you know, the huge gaping nostrils. It looks like something that you'd find in a Roald Dahl book or something. You know,
And his sort of high-born accent.
Yeah, this prudish, closeted demeanor. You know,
the facial expressions.
Yeah.
I think there's probably whole books written about the closet experience of these movies, you know, like because it's, I don't know, like they certainly never say the word gay in these movies. They never, like,
they
there's
say
a lot
queer.
of,
not in this particular movie.
but they don't mean it in that way though. They just mean like
strange.
How queer? Yeah, oh, how queer.
No, yeah, but I think still they're using it in that way, like to mean strange.
Not in the way, not in today's parlance, which is you know, I've got blue fingernails. I'm queer. Oh, I've got a husband. Oh, but I'm
and 6 kids.
But I'm a lesbian theoretically.
Yeah,
I'm a bit interesting, you know.
No, it's not like that. I think, I mean, it's confusing because the term nowadays it's even confusing now how they use the term. But I guess we'd have to investigate how it was used back then.
But there's something so funny about because I mean, obviously the comedy comes from the fact that these men are repressed and they're not being free and they're not being, you know, but we know at the time that would, unless you were in maybe some showbiz circles or whatever, we know that wouldn't have been okay. So it's so strange. Like, you know, what did a punter think of like, you know, like they'd sort of go, they'd see these clearly, you know, flaming homosexuals, you know, hiding, you know, and sort of buttoning themselves down. I just find that it's such a strange, I mean, it's hilarious.
And playing against someone so traditionally masculine like Sid James.
Yes.
It's really interesting.
And there's something but I mean, you also the idea of like women trying to race them off is funny as well.
Yeah. Well, that's having Babs and her girlfriend like just fawning over Sid and wanting to hang out with him. You know, are they that starved for action that they've got to go after
Sid Boggle? Well, no, it's come on, you've got to look at the plot. We are told from the beginning that Babs is
up for it.
She's a dead cert, you know, like she's ready to go, ready built for speed, whatever, however you want to say it. Okay, it's all there.
A good old fashioned cat fight.
Yeah, I love that beginning.
Yeah,
so good. What an intro.
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen a cat fight in our side boob history.
No. Actually, this might be the first one. Maybe there was some mud wrestling in Stripes, but but not a cat fight.
No.
This seems like quite realistic as well, I got to say.
Teach you to call me a cow, you old bitch.
Yeah.
It did seem realistic. But the chick she was fighting was fucking 45 as well.
I was like, what fucking school are these people at?
Yeah.
Actually, maybe that's part of the way they get away with everything. And maybe that's what we need to get back to as well, because we used to do that, this type of casting as recently as, Scream and Dawson's Creek and all that. Like, I think that what we used to understand was when you get high school kids and they're 30 or whatever, like Rizzo and Skeet Ulrich and whatever, like you've got full latitude because of the actor's age to do what you will, you know. Yeah. Whereas now it's literal, and therefore you get very very uninteresting stories because you can't be transgressive. About their stories. It's always moralistic, you know.
Well, it makes me think of this Martin Short film called Clifford. Have you ever seen Clifford?
Oh my God, I've seen Clifford.
Yes,
I've seen Clifford.
He's playing like Martin Short plays like an 8-year-old kid.
I remember it being really
so funny.
I remember it being really funny.
Oh, we have to do that movie.
Yeah, let's do Clifford. I remember
that sounds
it being
so weird.
Really funny. He's a real piece of shit. As well.
He's like a problem child, like devil child, you know. But again, you see him and you're like, sure, Martin Short's always had kind of like a childlike quality to him, but there's no way he's passing as an 8-year-old. But that's what makes it funny. So I guess it's the same in the other direction, you know. And we grew up watching Full Frontal and Fast Forward, the comedy sketch shows here in Australia, and they did that stuff all the time. Like people would be playing little kids, or they'd be playing
Kylie Mole.
So
I loved her when I was little.
She's so good.
So excellent.
Excellent.
So I agree. I think for comedies and stuff, like, we should be getting back to this a little bit more. It gives you a bit more latitude to be a bit more transgressive and racy if you've got 30-year-olds cast as 16-year-olds, you know.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, there's more of there's a remove there from it being, because if you've ever been out with anyone or been talking to someone and, you know, the topic of, I don't know, like Lolita comes up or these sorts of, you know, threads in comedies or, you know, and they're just a very literal person and, you know, and often they go like, they just call you out and they just go, well, actually, you know, that's sexual assault or something. And then you go, although no, not in Lolita's case, it's still different because it's a heavy book. But like in comedies case, when we're talking about these sorts of comedies or high school things, and they just go, they just are so literal about it, and you go, oh, okay, well, there you go. That's, I guess, you know, we can't talk about that comedy then.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's a conversation over, you know,
yeah,
like,
pretty much.
Like it's a killer. Like when someone just goes like, because I mean, what are you going to do? It's indefensible. You can't say, oh no, Babs is up for it. As we've said on this podcast already, Babs was totally
3
up.
times.
There used to be a time when you could say, you know, she's knowing jailbait.
So, do we like Babs' hair? Because we've discussed hair before on this show, like the Friday the 13th.
I only noticed when she was fighting that it had a weird cut.
It's bizarre.
It's sort of like a wedge, a big wedge. Is it?
It's like a beehive crossed with a mullet or something. It's.
I think it looks good.
I enjoyed the plaits in one scene. There was one scene, it was all up, and then she had these random 2 plaits.
But it's like, you know, because I was saying to Venga, like, we were talking about the hairstyle. I'm like, man, it's so much effort for such a bad look, you know. There's so much effort involved to make that hairdo, you know.
I just love that she looks so healthy, you know. She looks so like she's got a real body, you know.
Oh, she's hot.
She's not like sickly thin, you know.
No.
Yeah. Not a Keira Knightley.
No, with that pained look on her face. Keira Knightley. You know that fucking look that she does?
Yes.
I do, yeah.
And you just
what's that ludicrous film where she does a lap dance?
Oh, Domino.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mind the film, but she's she's not it's not like Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies.
No.
Let's be real. So, but this
If you enjoy what we do here on the New Flesh podcast, there are a number of ways you can contribute to the success of the show. Consider supporting us financially by becoming a Patreon member and donating monthly or yearly. Alternatively, you can donate money through the Buy Me a Coffee platform. If you're strapped for cash at this point in time, there are a number of other ways to support the New Flesh. You can give us a rating or review through Apple Podcasts. These help others to find our show and help spread the word. Or you can tell your friends about us. Don't underestimate the power of a podcast recommendation. And now, back to the show.
This film, I feel like one of the messages for me is that, you know, sex, what I got from the film is that sex is naughty and fun, you know, and not a Greek fucking tragedy. Like the new focus on sexuality today, as we experience it with the you know, the alphabet soup crowd and whatever, it totally lacks humor. Yeah, they've got no sense of humor about sex or sexuality, like zero sense of humor. And look, some people in that movement might be saying, "Oh, well, that's because we're dying in the streets," and then you'd go, "Okay, well, there are some serious legitimate issues going on, you know, with discrimination, whatever." But generally speaking, the people who scream that out aren't the ones, you know, experiencing said discrimination. They're on TikTok just being... The difference is that their view of sexuality, they're smug and neurotic and entitled and bizarre. So they've got no sense of humor about it, you know? So I think that what these films and give you is sort of it's a romp. You know what I mean? We talked about this before. There's something going on today where we seem to be frightened of the romp, the sex romp. You know, like we're too focused on, you know, consent laws, which are well-meaning, and I'm sure there's legitimate discussions and whatever to have about them. But does that need to enter every discussion about any representation of sex. Oh, well, actually, I hadn't heard the word consent before fucking 2 years ago. I did it, mind you. Like, I engaged in it. Like, I wasn't like, a raper. I wasn't, AJ, I wasn't a raper. Right?
You weren't a rapistador.
I wasn't a rapistador. However, I'm just saying that people it's one of those discussions that is all consuming, and you go, yeah, that's a policy discussion. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about that. It's carry on film, Like, I'm not again. This is our first back to our first episode. Like, a manual for your life. Like is Sid Boggle? Is he your mentor in life?
Charlie Muggins is mine.
Yeah. Charlie gets away with a lot.
He's such a moocher.
He is.
And the way he ends up staying in the tent with the Potters,
sleeping in between them.
I know, that was creepy.
No, sir, you mustn't do that. Please, sir. If you keep on doing that, you'll... Please, sir. If you do that, we'll...
Oh, hello.
Dobbin, what on earth is the meaning of this?
I'm sorry, Mr. Short. The gentleman kept touching things.
That's quite right. You see, I've been bursting to know what it's like inside a tent.
I see. All right, Miss Dobbin, I'll attend to this customer.
Thank you, sir.
Splendid girl, and so helpful. Do you know she's been showing me how to stick the pole up?
I love his introduction, though. Like, he's at the camping store and he's just inside the tent with the saleswoman. You don't know who's in there, but it's just the tent is like flailing around and,
And he says,
he just loves getting in those awkward situations.
No, but he says, I'm desperate to see the inside of a tent.
Yes.
Is he talking about a pussy?
I think he is.
AJ?
Yes.
Pussy?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
She was helping me with the pole. Is that what he says as well?
Hold it. I think I might have that written down. Where is it? I've got some stuff here. Oh no, I didn't write that one down. I wrote down I got some other stuff.
I really struggled with the quotes because it's such a back and forth.
Oh, there's so many.
Because it was amazing. It's amazingly written.
Yeah. There's so many.
Well, it's endlessly quotable. If I had to pick out my favorite, I think that we should do. If we should try and get some audio for the pod, because some of the exchanges are just incredible. So the Potters. There's one with the Potters that was good. Here we go. Mrs. Potter, the his sort of prudish wife who's shut up shop sexually, says to him, no, you always enjoy your camping holiday and you're jolly well going to have one, and you're just tired. Perhaps you had a bad day at the office. And he says, no. I met this chap who'd just come back from camping in Scotland, and his wife was ravished by a wild haggis, and now they're expecting a little faggot.
I wrote that one down.
So good. Lines that could blow up the American Capitol. Like if you played that in Times Square, just mushroom cloud.
It's a bloody flamethrower.
No, you always enjoy your camping holiday and you're jolly well going to have one. You're just tired. Perhaps you had a bad day at the office.
No. I met this chap who'd just come back from camping in Scotland, and his wife was ravished by a wild haggis, and now they're expecting a little faggot.
Now there's so many good lines. So here's another. This one's got. I'll get onto my favorite bit soon, but this one's spectacular. This is great. So our favorite Mr. Muggins is wandering down the road. He encounters a young girl with a cow, and he says to her,
"Yes."
He says to her, "What's a nice girl like you doing with an old cow?" And she says, "I'm taking her to the bull." "Oh, couldn't your father do that?" No, it has to be the bull. So good. That's sparkling.
And the look on his face is amazing.
It's amazing. It's spectacular stuff. Bring it back. Bring it all back.
Hello. I wonder if you could help me. Am I on the right road to Salisbury?
Yes, but it's quicker if you go through the fence and across the plain.
Oh, thank you very much.
What's a nice girl like you doing with an old cow?
I'm taking her to the bull.
To the bull? Oh. Couldn't your father do that?
No, it has to be the bull.
It has to be the...
But that expression that he and Dr. Soper have, like in reaction to some of the dialogue, it's really hard to describe how, like why it's so funny. It's like they're into it, but they're horrified at the same time,
Well, when if you watch some of the docos and whatnot, you could easily expect the director, who is across almost all of these films, to be a certain type of guy, maybe a bit like Sid James or something. Look at like Gerald Thomas. You'd expect him to be it's just a pig man or whatever. He is a total toff, and just like very quiet and reserved. And he talks like he's directing Chekhov, and it's amazing. Like he's just like and he knows why Sid James is good. And he knows what like he said, he was talking about that moment, it's spectacular seeing the moment of silence after Sid James gets water thrown in his face. That's spectacular. Like this is the sort of stuff they say that what I guess you could forget if you watch this on TV just randomly or whatever. They know what they're doing. The director, the writer, they know what they're doing. This is not an accident. Okay, this didn't just happen. There is craft going on here. These are beautifully written. These are excellently performed. You might not like the style of comedy, which is up to you. And I think you probably can't be friends with us, I would assume. That's the case if you hate this film entirely. But it really is. These people do know what they're doing. You know what I mean? This ain't just an amateur show. That was just a real surprise to me to see that director. But that exchange with the cow is just spectacular writing. It's surprising that I think what we've lost, particularly now that people have been complaining about what I'm about to say for I think since the beginning of cinema, because every few years, standards, mores change, and we get more and more frankness on screen, and we get more and more sexuality. I think we had fucking rimming on fucking Girls, the series, not too long ago. So I think what you lose with some of this frankness is you lose this artistry of the reason that those exchanges are funny is entirely up to us. We are doing the work. They're doing that wonderful thing, which is letting us join the dots. You know what I mean? To a certain degree, even though it's very straight up to a certain degree, we're still involved. Like it's different to it's the polar opposite to this Melissa McCarthy stuff. As much as I like her as a performer, I think she's in terrible movies. And this sort of babbling at the mouth, endless talking, endless, just period blood gags and whatever. Like all that sort of stuff. I know I'm amalgamating her with a range of other people, but even the dudes, it doesn't really matter, guys or dudes. The modern comedy is really just, that hangover style of thing, which is fine, I guess. But this is different,
completely different.
Yeah, and I don't know. I had a spectacular time watching this, and I was like, oh man, I miss this kind of this naughty, playful chess game. That the words are involved in, and it's so much more enjoyable. You sort of chuckle along to yourself, and I think maybe that's why stiffs don't like these movies.
Even the music's playful.
Yes,
yeah,
it's bouncy.
Yeah, you're bouncing along with them. Yeah, that's exactly right. Even when she's sick in the car, I can't remember what her name was.
Anthea. Yeah.
Like you're still bouncing, you're still having a good time.
Absolutely, yeah. What a joy.
The scene in the tent when Harriet is pulling the shotgun pellets out of Peter's bum, and we kind of see it from outside the tent, like in the shadows. Like that must have influenced the famous Austin Powers scene.
Absolutely. Well, he's a big fan. He loves British humor because of his dad and stuff.
Yeah.
So he'd be all over it. Absolutely, and I guess maybe that's the best stuff about Austin Powers is the British stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was going to say that maybe Austin Powers is the closest to this sort of humor we've had for the longest time, you know.
Well, I feel like I'm not, although I am down on most of what's going on right now, I do believe in the cyclical nature of things, certain in art especially, and I feel like eventually there will be a wonderful renaissance in comedy, and we will get, you know, the dam will break. It's just that some very unfunny people are ruling the roost right now, but we just need to realize how funny they are. And because this is the main point I want to maybe make about these films, is that satire and comedy is the answer to what is going on today on so many fronts. So, you know, get into domestically, but let's talk internationally. So you want to CCP? Yep. Let's sick Matt and Trey on them more and sanction them, you know, to do whatever they want. Where is the comedy from China? You know, satirizing themselves. You know, satirizing. You know, they don't satirize anything. In fact, a tennis star came out the other day and made a perfectly an allegation of sexual harassment against someone, and she was disappeared.
Yeah.
So that's how they do it. There is no satire over there. There's no comedy in this sense. And so, you know, but in terms of domestically, you know, liberal democracies, we've got biting satire, you know, and that's how you know a place is free.
Free, yeah.
You know, when authoritarian regimes don't allow satire and you know, this kind of stuff, you know, and wokesters, you know, funnily enough, don't have a sense of humor. And because they run the institutions, they are seemingly mostly authoritarian. So there's a link there. You know, wokesters are authoritarian. They have no sense of humor. They don't like to be poked fun of. They don't like the way that comedy and jokes work. You know, it takes away their power and their prestige and whatever. That's why these films are a political necessity. I think everyone should go on iTunes, get this film today. $12.
You'll have fun.
It's kryptonite for the woke elites.
Yeah.
They don't want you watching it. They don't.
But they're not going to watch it at the same time.
Well,
they'll say don't watch it and won't watch it.
But like that's why it's so important, you know. You just got to, like, I watched this film and all the nonsense faded away. I was like, I didn't want to go out and live the life of Sid Boggle.
No.
But I enjoyed watching him do his thing.
Yeah, I was transported back to being 8 years old. I loved it.
Appropriate education.
Get this. I, you know, through doing research on reviews and stuff, I did notice that it originally, when it came out, had an R rating.
Wow.
You can buy the DVD, or I think there's like a big box set of it. It's now rated PG. So how did we get from going R rated to PG? But still, like, even though it's PG, you could you probably couldn't play this like on a college campus somewhere because you would be lynched.
Well, you couldn't play it on a college campus because that's the problem, is that they see everything as violence, you know. But you could play it. You could almost play it, you know, at a family event, and it wouldn't be a big deal, apart from the maybe the nudist scene. But because it's all innuendo.
Yeah.
And the beauty of innuendo is dummies don't get it and children don't get it. You know?
Yeah.
So, and that's maybe why the subversive nature of it is that the wokes, and that they hate it because they're like, oh, you're making me think all these dirty things. And you say, no, you're thinking them. You're thinking, you made it up. You're thinking it. You're making it all up. Nothing was said. What was said? Nothing was said. You have made it all up.
And they're just sex hounds, and there's no sex.
But that's why it's funny. This is something that Russ Meyer understood as well. And we'll cover his films another time. But like, Russ Meyer understood, and as these guys do, that it's only funny if no one gets laid.
Yeah.
That's why it's funny. The moment they get laid, it's not funny. You know? Or it's got to be for a certain end, you know, but it can't. It's only funny when they're desperately trying, you know.
Yeah. Well, it is implied that they get it at the end of this film. They've worn their girlfriends down.
Yeah, but fucking hell, they're 33.
And even though Peter gets laid, Mr. Potter gets laid, it's too for him to grow some balls.
I mean,
from getting laid.
Those Sid Boggle and Bernie Lug are no oil paintings.
No.
Okay? They're disgustos. But the fucking Joan and Anthea are frumps. So fucking hell, just what are you all waiting for? Like, what are you waiting for? Like,
but listen, you got to think about the time as well. Even the late 60s was still quite conservative.
I guess so. And the time frame is 3 months. They've been on the make for 3 months.
Yeah.
And she still lives at home.
Mm. Well, that's what would happen back then, though.
She's 87.
Yes, no, I get it. But it's like, seriously, the whole movie's about like, but she says it at the beginning. Joan says, I'm playing hard to get or something.
Yeah.
Where did they fucking meet, Sid?
I don't know.
Like, where did Sid and Joan meet?
There would have been double dates. It would have just been all double dates.
I guess so.
I love that they were eating icy bowls at the start.
Well, that scene
is so random.
I think what we miss about that scene contextually is it's a bit of a taxi driver date scene because it's all men in the cinema. I think the joke is sort of lost on us a bit, but I feel like they've sort of taken them to their version of a porno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's all old balls in there and just like smoke in the air, and they're sitting there sucking on their ice lollies, as they say, watching this nudist film. You told me this was all about camping. It is. They got tents, haven't they? That's not what you're looking at.
Yeah. What does he say? I'm making a mental note of all the equipment they got.
What's the deal? Where did this obsession with nudist camps come from? Like, why do people? I mean, it's obvious because people are nude, but a nudist camp would be super gross.
Super gross.
Only disgustos go to nudist camps.
I always wondered that. Like,
there'd be 2 hot chicks and a lot of disgusting fat old men.
Well, I don't think there'd be many hot chicks either. There'd be a lot of disgusto chicks as well.
No, there'd be like 100 disgustos as well. But I'm just saying, like, that you'd be focusing on that 1 or 2 out of 100.
But the thing is, like, the way nudists sell it is it's not a sexual thing. It's just a freedom thing. Like, they feel free. But what I don't understand,
Go on.
is how blokes don't have boners all the time. That's the thing.
All the time.
These old men.
Because let's be honest, men do like a sight of a bit of flesh now and then.
Speak for yourself.
So when it's all around you all the time, like, you'd be fighting that boner down. Like, what kind of holiday is that? Like, having to fight your boner down 24/7.
This is what women are worried about. Okay, and this is actually why you have articulated basically the company line in Iran. You have just said your boner is that my chubby is your problem. And
keep those ankles covered.
Yeah, keep them covered, ladies. As I keep saying, like, sometimes, when it happens with you, I get it. You look around at the chick and what you say is, geez, just bag it up. Just no diggity. Bag it up.
No doubt.
But related to this is that I noticed that Dr. Soper, when he watches Babs go to the bus next to the other teacher, he is actually the Disney Corporation, because he says he's watching. The other teacher watches Babs butt sort of shuffle off up to the bus, next to the bus, and the other teacher goes, quite a rear-wheel drive, eh? And then he goes, and Dr. Soper goes, yeah, it's fascinating the way what? Oh, absolutely disgusting. The Disney Corporation. Yeah. Disgusting. That's what I've been talking about all these weeks. So Dr. Soper is Disney. Disney thinks it's disgusting. They think that Daryl Hannah's butt's disgusting. They think that Babs's butt, they just want to get rid of it all. They're like, oh, disgusting.
I don't think they're going to be releasing these films on Disney Plus anytime soon.
I feel like these films have sort of been memory hold a bit. Like you can get them on iTunes, well, a bunch of them, all the best ones, but you can't get. Let's face it, the way that the market works today, if you talk to any normal person, if it's not on streaming, it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
because if you're recommending stuff as I did earlier on iTunes, no one's going to buy it. They pay their $10 and they're like, and so therefore that's why they make such a big deal of what goes on Netflix and whatever. Like, can you ever see those advertisements like Seinfeld's coming to Netflix and you're like, who fucking cares? I've got them all or whatever. What's a big deal? The reason it's a big deal is because if it ain't on Netflix, it ain't nowhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
but
one's seen
maybe it's different in the UK. Maybe people are championing it.
I feel like, well, hopefully we'll continue on as we and learn a bit more as we go with these films. But I feel like I want to know what the reputation is of the films today. They seem quite beloved. There's books written, there's plaques all around the place, of where things were shot. But you can't ignore the way that the world's changed.
Of course.
And so I just wonder now today, like I don't think in Sadiq Khan's London that he's proud of Sid Boggle and Babs, like he ain't putting a plaque outside anywhere saying this is where.
Well, I think she was on EastEnders for a long time, so maybe they are.
Well, she's got. Does she have some sort of knighthood, or what's the female version of a knighthood?
She's got the whatever, the order of whatever.
She only died last year.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But
whereas everyone else has been dead for years.
That's true. That is true.
This film was voted the most popular carry-on film of all time, and that poll was conducted in 2008. So I know it's a little bit old, that poll, but
that is
wow.
The discussion would be different today.
Yeah, for sure.
Like 2008. Oh my God, that was before everyone lost their fucking minds.
But I think there are a lot of Brits out there that would still enjoy a carry-on film.
Well, actually, they must be, because they're the people who probably voted for Brexit. Probably, like who just were like, yeah, I think that is that carry-on's great, So, but I did on one of the docs, a guy raised a good point, which I'd like to think about some more. He said that it's his view, or that he believes that at the time these movies in the mid-20th century, this wasn't a staple of this kind of humor, wasn't a staple of the UK. These movies created it.
Right.
They brought together a few different traditions in one sort of one-stop shop. But it's only now that we look back, now that it's that 30 of them are under the under the belt, that we go, oh, that's so British. But allegedly that wasn't the case.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because they sort of took these naughty postcards that were a bit of a thing and combined it with more like naughty theatre shows and stuff like that, and combined them together. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And it's got that sort of vaudeville thing,
So the music hall tradition.
Yeah, yes, totally. Nod and a wink sort of stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing because they made 31 of these films between 1958 and 1992. They had 4 TV Christmas specials, a television series of 13 episodes, and 3 stage plays all came out of this. The last film, the 31st film, was Carry On Columbus, which, John, you mentioned earlier. That was made in 1992, but it only featured 4 irregular cast members from the original series of the film because, I don't know, a lot of them were probably dead by 1992.
They were dead.
I find that it's just an amazing franchise. It's the largest number of films of any British series, and it's the second longest British film series, although it does have that 14-year break between 1978 and 1992. So James Bond is the only franchise that beats it in terms of length, but sort of over the years. But Bond only has I've got it written here, 25 films. So there's 31 of these.
Oh, right.
And speaking of a franchise that needs to maybe have a good fucking look at itself.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that actually, because I was reading that a lot of the crew members that worked on the Carry On films also worked on all the James Bond films, because they all shot sort of out of Pinewood Studios. And
yes.
And yeah, I was thinking Bond used to be quite funny. Like, I've got a really fond spot for the Roger Moore James Bond films.
Yes.
Probably because they're the first ones I kind of started watching as a kid, but they are the funniest.
They're the easiest to watch when you're a kid as well.
And he camps it up, you know, and I sort of miss that a little bit, you know.
Yes.
Like you look at the Bond series now, they're so fucking serious, you know. It's like even the look of them, they've got that sort of dark cinematography, and which I guess was cool when they first started going down that track, but I feel like it needs to be a bit more fun, a bit more humor.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe there was something going on at Pinewood Studios, you know, because I actually remember that image that I talked about at the beginning of Babs was in this book I had on Pinewood Studios. It's just one of those random books your parents have, you know, I don't know what the fuck they had it for. But it just had images from everything shot Pinewood. Yeah, from Roger Moore, there was an image of him from For Your Eyes Only, and there's like stuff from Superman and, you know, Sean Connery and Babs. And maybe there's something, you know, about that studio that, you know, at the time was just feeding across all of those, everything shot there, you know. And yeah, but it ain't so now. So, you know, but I hope they revive this series. I really do, but it's going to take people with balls of steel to just go, yeah, I don't care about you.
And you want a good job.
Well, yeah, you do want a good job, yeah, because it's like, you know, I just feel like they're going to. There's just too much noise now, and again, it's internet and social media. You just can't. Nothing gets off the ground. Nothing happens because people complain. People go, "I read the script of Carry On COVID, and it's offensive." You know, oh, it's offensive. They made jokes about the vaccine, you know, or whatever. You know? So,
and jokes about Boris.
Boris. Do you think sort of new organizations like the Daily Wire, who are planning to get out there and start making TV shows and stuff like that, do you hold out any faith that they would be able to do something like this in the future?
No, because this is the problem with when you go full Reuben. So when you do Daily Wire and all that, like on one level, it's good because it's independent, and if it's an action film, that's great. You know, one thing that people who are properly conservative, socially conservative, aren't into, and that's titties, and that's they're not down with OPP. You know,
yeah, you know me.
They're not. They're into like, you know, not watching porn and stuff. Like they don't just do No Nut November. They do No Nut Lifetime, except with my wife to make children. And so that's a very different tradition.
Kind of like Charlie Muggins.
Yeah,
asexual Charlie Muggins.
That's right. So it's a different sort of deal. I mean, what do you think? You think that like that if they make this sort of, I mean, you know, they're working with Gina Carano or something. That's different than you know, having jokes about, you know, having sex with a man having sex with a bull or a cow. Whatever. You know?
I guess it depends on how involved they are. You know, whether they're just there to finance good comedians to do their work, or whether they're gonna want to sift through scripts and stuff.
No, you got to be real. You got to be real. Like this current thing that's going on, this Strange Bedfellows thing we've got going on now is limited because we all hate the extreme left, but you know, remember what it was like in the year 2000 or thereabouts. It was you remember that it was like. There was more of a social conservatism in America at the time, you know, Bush and all that, and the right had more power. And in the 90s, it was the same. What do you get? You get bans on Marilyn Manson. You get bans on, you know, sex and violence and video games. That's in the DNA of the right. Do you know what I mean? So the DNA of the right is once the loons on their end get hold of things, they're like, right, now let's ban Grand Theft Auto, you know? Whereas the loons on the left that are currently in charge, they're like, you know, I don't know what they're banning shit for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they'd ban Grand Theft Auto auto because it's misogynistic, or it's
Yes.
there's not enough diverse characters.
Yeah, there's not enough people of color in it. There's not enough lady dicks in it, I guess.
But let's not forget that in our grandparents' generation, like you couldn't go and stay in a hotel with a girl, like a person of the opposite sex, like your girlfriend or whatever. You'd have to prove that you were married to them.
Yes.
Shit like that.
Sort of Noel Coward play, sort of Brief Encounter stuff.
Yeah, where you have to sort of pretend you're married, or you have to sort of hide or sneak them in, that sort of thing.
Whereas look, now you could have toggled fucking Tinder at the beginning of this pod and be getting your dick sucked like right now while you're talking to me. And everyone who's listening and be like, yeah, that's the normal.
Isn't that what's happening?
Yeah.
I heard his voice go up a few times.
like Commandant Mossad.
Yeah.
Many things. So one of my favorite bits in this movie by far is the farmer's daughter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love this scene so much. There's 3 different parts that made me laugh out loud like uncontrollably. So the setup is Muggins goes over to a farmer's house just to get some lodging, and the farmer says, you can't stay here. Basically, drags him inside and accuses him of, in a previous visit, of knocking up his daughter who's sitting there. And it's not true, obviously, but when he's gone, the farmer says to his daughter, "Just give me his name. That's all I want out of you. His name." And she says, "I can't. I never knew his name. All that money I spent on a posh education trying to make a lady out of you, and you haven't even got the manners to ask with who am I having the pleasure?"
Yes?
Hello. I've had a spot of bother with my tent, and I wondered whether you could let me have a room for the night.
Oh, did you? Now, I suppose you want me to say yes, but you'll have to share it with my daughter, eh?
I expect you've heard that one about the traveller who stopped at the...
I've not only heard it, I've had it. Come in here.
Oh.
Here, girl. Is this the one who's irresponsible?
What, that? You must be joking.
Here, have you ever been with my daughter before?
Actually, no. But if the offer's still holds...
Never mind, just get out and don't come back.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry to have knocked you up.
Here, is that meant to be funny?
No, why?
Because it was a passing tramp like you that got her into trouble.
Oh, you don't say. Nothing serious, I hope.
Get out! Get out unless you want my 12 bore up your backside.
Father, you can't go on attacking every man that comes here.
Just give me his name. That's all I wanted of you, his name.
I can't. I never knew his name.
All that money I spent on a posh education trying to make a lady out of you, and you haven't even got the manners to ask, with who am I having the pleasure?
Amazing.
Yes.
But the best one is when Potter comes around to get some milk, and he says, knocks on the door and the farmer opens it up and he says, "Ah, I came here once before, you know." "Ah, you did, eh?" "Yes, but you weren't here, though. Just a young lady. She gave me a bit." "Oh, she did she?" "Yes, and it was very nice, too. That's why I've come back for some more." "By gum, you've got a nerve." Oh, don't misunderstand me. I'm quite willing to pay for it this time." I just love the way he says, "You weren't here, though. Just a young lady. She gave me a bit."
Yeah.
She gave me a bit. It's so good. I think that should be a test. Like I should bring that around on a mobile and just play it.
Yeah.
To someone, and if they go, oh, that's disgusting. Or,
yeah, you just go, oi, what do you think of this? Hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah, just what do you think of that? And then if they go, "I love it," I'll go, "Well, now we can kick it."
But if they hate it and they say, "I'm going to read my poetry now about being divorced for 12 years."
Yes.
Good evening, sir. I was wondering if I could have some milk.
Milk, is it?
Yes. I came here once before, you know.
Oh, you did, eh?
Yes, but you weren't here, though. Just a young lady. And she gave me a bit.
Oh, she did she?
Yes, and it was very nice, too. That's why I've come back for some more.
By gum, you've got a nerve.
Oh, don't misunderstand me, please. I'm quite willing to pay for it this time.
I'll kill you!
So I'm dying, Astro, for some keeper or creeper.
Oh, keeper or creeper. Yes. Well, AJ, I think there's a few candidates, I think. Well, let's start with Kenneth Williams as Dr. Kenneth Soper, headmaster at the Chase School for Girls, refined. Maybe, he won't be knocking your door down in the middle of the night, if I had to say so. So
No.
that might appeal to you. I don't know. So yeah, I think he's got a lot going for him. As I say, refined, good job and whatnot. Keeper or creeper?
I think that he wouldn't understand my advances.
Oh.
So
that, unfortunately, if there's no third option, so creeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the awkward thing is with keeper or creeper is that you might
That's
not
right.
be necessarily be a creeper, but creeper you get rewarded. Bernard Breslaw as Bernie Lugg. He's a part business owner, plumber. He's a big unit.
He is tall, and that is a big thing for women these days.
Tall, balding.
Yes.
So now I can sense in your voice that this is a little bit like Gus from Basic Instinct. There's something about Bernie Lugg that you like.
Well, I like that his name is Lug because he is thick as a brick.
Yeah.
He is.
But that's endearing in a way. He's a lovable simpleton.
Yeah.
But he is easily led on sexual misadventure. And he doesn't know, he clearly, just like Lenny in Of Mice and Men, doesn't know right from wrong.
No.
And that's not always a good thing in a man.
No.
So keeper or creeper?
Apart from the height, creeper.
Okay. All right.
I'm not a heightist though.
Well, let's test that. I reckon if we could get someone short and, set you up, I think he'd be, I don't know what Frank would do, but he'd just watch or something.
Probably.
So what do we got next? We have Charles Hawtrey as Charlie Muggins. Free spirit, adventurous, independent. For some reason, going on his first camping adventure at like fucking 60 or 55 or whatever. Again, he'll weirdly, I think, he's sometimes hands on and sometimes hands off. So I don't know what's going on.
Keep guessing.
But he says at the camping store after he molests the girl in the tent, "Splendid girl and so helpful. She's been showing me how to stick the pole up." So I mean, he gets a lot of stuff for free. So I think that might,
that's true.
That could work in his favor. As I say, he's quite resourceful in that way, maybe. But I don't know. He does seem very independent.
He's definitely a creeper. He's kind of like a weird elfish uncle.
Shit. Okay. All right. Well, that's him. And finally, we have Sid James as Sid Boggle, business owner, cheeky, again, resourceful, focused. When he wants something, he goes after it. And, that might be seeing underage girls in the shower. Or it might be tricking you into going to a nudist colony.
But at least Sid's always up for a good time. Like Peter Potter is not up for a good time.
Well, I didn't even put Potter on the list.
Yeah, but he's just a downer.
Yeah.
So whereas at least Sid is cheeky.
He's cheeky, and I've just figured out this is how those dreadful guys have partners. Is they sort of win you over like that.
Yes.
So
even though his face, what did someone describe him in a doco as an unmade bed?
Yes.
His face.
Well, AJ, maybe I need to, before we ask the question, I need to inform you. He is an old man. So don't expect to spend a long time. It'll be a good time, not a long time. Okay? Now that might appeal to you. So I don't know. Keeper or creeper?
Creeper.
Good.
We've come to the end of 2021 and I still haven't found my keeper yet.
I know. I think it's bound to continue. I blame the films. Trivia. Is there trivia for this movie?
Of course there is.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so it was filmed during a rainy autumn that produced a lot of mud. And this can be seen quite a lot through the film, actually, including people sinking and slipping. But to hide the mud, green paint was used. Also, leaves had to be stuck back onto the trees and sprayed green in order to recreate summer, which sounds like a big ball ache for the
Just
art
looked like
department,
a normal English summer to me.
Yeah, no, but it was autumn, so the trees didn't have any leaves on them.
Right.
It premiered in Hull in England. People were literally queuing around the block to see it. It was the highest grossing film in the UK in 1969.
Wow.
Wonderful.
That's nice.
Yeah. The famous bra flying scene when Babs and the girls are doing the exercises, it caused a little bit of problems for Barbara Windsor. Her bra was connected to a fishing line and an old stagehand was to pull it off at a given time, but he pulled her over into the mud. And when it was successfully done, she was determined to keep covered up at all costs. But then Kenneth Williams says, "Matron, take them away." And so Matron grabs her arm, uncovering her for all to see. The yell she lets out at this point is real. So I think her right titty pops out.
No, I believe we see the namesake of this podcast. We see.
We see side boob. We do.
So Babs didn't get out her Babs, really. Didn't want to anyway.
No, but
but it did take a few takes because it did result in too much being seen.
Right.
Yeah.
Lewd.
That's right. So there was actually an early example of product placement in this film too. So they actually made a deal with Saxa Salt, and there was a blatant product placement. You know when Muggins gives Harriet Potter the Potters something to contribute because he's been mooching, and he gives them that packet of salt. So yeah, that's actually an endorsement. It was unusual in the UK in the 1960s to have that sort of product placement, but with the James Bond films also being made at Pinewood Studios, they already had product placement agreements sort of in place for their films. So it was starting to become the norm. So there are some carry-on films that appear to have also product placement from Rothmans cigarettes and Johnny Walker whiskey.
I saw the Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Presumably the things that killed Sid at the age of 62.
So the actor Terry Scott, who plays Peter Potter, was suffering with hemorrhoids during filming. So not only was he constantly being hurt in the ass, he was hurting in the ass.
Disgusting.
So, yeah. Now, I love this little next bit of trivia here. So here are some of the film's foreign language titles, okay? So in the Netherlands, we had Girls Camping. In Poland, we had Holidays, Let's Go. In Spain, we had Control Yourself, Hiker. In Portugal...
I'm going to start saying that to people.
Control yourself, Hiker.
In Portugal, we had The Trouble with Camping.
Yeah, that's good.
And this is my favorite one from South America. I Want a Nudist Girlfriend.
Simple.
Straight to the point.
I want a nudist girlfriend.
So my last bit of trivia here, I'm a bit sad about this one. There was a planned film called Carry On Down Under for 1981. Gerald Thomas did some location scouting whilst on holiday in Australia, and he spoke to the Australian Film Commission. The production was abandoned when financing fell through. But they had a complete script written, and it's included in a book called 50 Years of Carry On.
Oh my God. I feel like we should make it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Maybe we could crowdfund to make this film.
Carry on down under. That would be so good.
Under. Well, it's already, the script is there.
I know. How old is it? 50 years old?
Surely there's enough Carry On fans out there that you could crowdfund this.
Probably.
I think you probably could actually.
Yeah.
Let's talk to him. So in terms of Me Too, there's there's a lot of incidental things. We'd be here for 2 years if I went through everything. But I think just a couple of things. So maybe some major charges and then a bit of counterpoint. So I think the first thing for me, secrets and lies. Sid and Bernie are involved in a grooming conspiracy. Sexual entrapment, if you will. They lie to Joan and Anthea to get them to go to a nudist camp, hoping they will put out. Think about that. They've tricked them. They've said, like, that's their plan. Let's just go to a place where there's naked people, and then they'll get all hot and bothered, and we'll have sex with them. So I think that says a lot. This is a bit of counterpoint. So give it up, ladies. So one reading of the film is that it's all about it's really about sexual communication. All the men want sex, which is true, but they want it with their partners.
Oh.
So it's the various ways women have shut up shop that cause the men to behave badly. Most of it, there's a lot of it's unjustified on the men's part, but for example, Peter Potter's wife literally does not listen to him at all.
No.
So he says outrageous things. She will not listen to him. So it's about communication, and that's partly the reason that Sid and Bernie, or whatever his name is, have problems, is that they haven't communicated with their partners. Although Sid says, we're lumbered with two girls with prohibitions. So there you go. We've already talked about our mate rough and tumble molesting the clerk in the camping store, Muggins. So I think that's glossed over, that first scene, but that's the first time we meet him.
He's just a bit of a pest.
He's a sex pest. And that is, I think but it's unclear what he's after. I think maybe that's why he's so dangerous.
Yeah.
So this is a big one. School's out. So no, my alternate headline, no time to diddle, I mean dawdle. So Babs and her school chums are leered at, perved on, and demeaned by all the men, which might be excusable if they weren't, I don't know, not children. So the shower peeping scene. Think about the shower peeping scene for a second. Sid, fucking 55, looking 70, looking through a hole in an ablution block wall at a 16-year-old girl. That is just world-ending stuff, and he's getting his mate involved. It's just, as we said, she looks up for it, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. Lots of good lines associated with this as well. So with Babs and the school stuff. So I've mentioned that earlier one, but the other teacher says to Soper, oh no, that's right. Sorry, this is Babs. Babs says this, "Good morning, Dr. Soper. Are we all loaded?" And the other teacher says, "Oh, not half." Cue the dirty laugh and winks. One could only imagine what he means. "Are you going to stay with us all the time?" "Oh, yeah, I go all the way." "Oh, I bet you do." So there you go. Look, what do we think? On balance, where do we put this out of 10 on our Me Too meter?
Oh, it's high.
It's high?
Yeah, it's pretty high.
Is it the highest?
I don't know. Again, because Sid and his sidekick, they're not really the heroes, are they? They're not. They're not Mahoney.
No,
yeah, that's true.
Well, as in, we're with them 100% of the time, and
and we're rooting for them to win.
You do want them to win, though. You do want them to get action.
Yeah, I guess we do.
You do, unless you don't, which is weird. He's gross, but you got to get involved. When in Rome, you watch the movie and you go, "Oh yeah, he's gross," but his 33-year-old girlfriend maybe should put out once.
That's
or
exactly
at
right.
least do
Throw him a
something.
bone.
Throw him something,
Yeah.
you know. Well, don't date him if you don't like, you know.
Yeah.
Don't go out with him. You can't tell me when you first met him that you didn't know he was out for a bit of crumpet.
Well, he was a creep the whole film with other women.
Like, what's with catching him with other women and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with teens, you know, with hot teens.
You'd be like, fuck, man.
You'd be like, this is gangster crazy. You know?
Well, what do you give it, Astro? You think it's a 10?
No, I don't, because I think that I do think it's high. Maybe it's probably around the 8 mark, I think. But something about the message, I think, gives it some points or brings it down from 12 down to 8, because I really think that message is getting lost. Because Bettina Arndt talked about this when we interviewed her in our the other podcast. She said that talked about communication and the desire gap between men and women, and that if you look at the data, it says that men and women want sex differently and at different times and in different amounts and whatever. And it's not just all you can, but it's inadvisable to just shut up shop for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah.
Like, that's maybe not going to work. And these chicks are doing it before you've even put the ring on their finger.
But you need the dance, and they were giving the dance.
The dance was long.
Yeah,
long.
the long they were in for a long time.
And how much of a dance are you meant to do when you're not a 10? Like Anthea and Joan, come on, what other options do they have? I mean, Sid's gross.
Sid is fucking gross, and so is Bernie. And he's a dumb cunt. And
well, I'm annoyed at them all because I want them all just to get together and marry. It's like, if you know two gross friends who get together, you're like, well, you're both gross.
Good for them.
Good on you. Like, have little gross kids and be gross. Like, don't hold. Like, one of them's like, oh no, I'm gonna wait for something better. You're like, don't. It suits you. This is it. It's done. It's over. There you go. All right. I'll be the ring bearer. Go.
I don't know if I'll be coming back next year based on this episode.
Hey, AJ, I thought these were your favorite films.
No. I'm pretty excited.
I think you're probably right, John. I think 8 is probably an acceptable score.
Yes. It's high.
It is high.
It is high.
Just a couple of little things before we wrap it up. I think that maybe the political message as well that maybe gets lost in this movie, which is nice, is that, flower power can fuck off.
Yeah.
Silent majority band together and stick it to the hippies. This is what we need. We need to do this for the wokes. We need to put them in a movie and tie them up and lead them out of the field.
Yeah. Drag them out with a tractor.
And take the fucking campsite back.
Yeah.
Because they're losers, man. I said it. And the only other thing I have to say is this is just an aside, but I don't know if you noticed this. There seems to be an agreement between everyone in this movie that the matron is both fat and gross, and that everyone needs to talk about it all the time.
And how she's never going to get any action.
Don't you see? It raises the problem of sex. Oh, I assure you, matron, I wouldn't dream of bothering you in that way. Like, they're just desperate to let her know that she is irrelevant sexually.
But I think she fucks in other movies.
Right.
Maybe.
I look forward to that.
Hey, I've got two reviews here, or little parts of reviews here.
Right.
They were hard to find actually because Ebert hasn't done one, and no one of any prestige seems to have done a review. But I found a 2-star review on Empire. And they say, camping, a later entry, so to speak, is possibly the least ambitious, all but free of plot, merely a series of vignettes barely held together by the overarching idea of a camping holiday. Yet here, with the heady pursuit of recreation, its target is the carry-on formula at its essence. that ribald mix of eccentricity and sexual failure. Camping with its overt double meaning is like soft porn draped in the companionable cloth of sitcom, another voyage through British small-mindedness.
Fucking hell. Fuck off, Empire.
And here is a 1-star review from the New York Times, the failing New York Times. Carry On Camping is a movie that proceeds partly by pratfall, but mostly by a merciless succession of double entendres, which somehow excite the Puritan interest of everybody except perhaps the audience.
Yes. Well, their station chief in Berlin in the 30s was a Nazi sympathizer. So I don't care about what the failing New York Times says about this movie. Thank you very much. I don't
Actually,
get it.
no, I have a third one. The Cleveland Press. Thin is certainly the word for this latest effort, which scrapes the bottom of the barrel for gags.
Right. Stone Cold losers.
But were critics ever going to give this a good score?
But even now, it's got like 40%. Well, it's only got 5 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 40%. I think we need to go on there and somehow get it up there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many people who love the film would be getting into Rotten Tomatoes and giving it much of a review, you know?
I don't know. Not many.
No.
6.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad.
I think this is better than A Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
So there you go.
Yeah. Bilbo Baggins and fucking Frodo.
Fuck off.
Schmeagol.
I know that shit. All right. So.
All right. Is that what we said? Sorry for dropping the C-bomb.
No, it's good.
Needed to be done.
It did need to be done. And, you know, I think it's a fine end to 2021, which was a bit of a kind of a year. So it's only appropriate.
Well, we will be back for our final Friday show in a few days. So hang out for that one. But until then, long live the new flesh.
Long live the new flesh. My chubby is your problem. Huh? What? Oh, absolutely disgusting.